Here's the thing, most car reviews start with horsepower, displacement, 0 to 100 times, and cargo space. But with the Tesla Model Y, the interesting part isn't really the car, it's the tech. Because this thing is basically an iPad on wheels with a giant 16-inch display running one of the most advanced automotive softwares out now. So instead of reviewing this like a car, let's review it like a piece of tech. What's up guys, Jason here, and welcome to 10-Bit Tech, where we review all kinds of tech such as cars, cameras, audio, smartphones, and more. Earlier Model Ys used to have a 15.4-inch display, but Tesla bumped it up to a higher resolution 16-inch display on this refresh. And if you've never used a Tesla before, here's what's weird. This single screen basically controls everything. Yes, not some things like traditional cars, everything. From navigation, speed, climate, charging, seat heaters, ventilation, mirrors, music, cameras, autopilot settings, and even when you want to access the glove box, it opens from the touchscreen. There are almost no traditional buttons, and while that may sound annoying, Tesla's UI is probably the best software interface I've tried in a car. Animations are smooth, menus are quick, and its system updates constantly via over-the-air updates, which means the UI you get today probably won't be the UI you have in a year. And that is a very smartphone behavior, not car behavior. Tesla didn't just build a car, they built an operating system for cars. Everything runs under custom Linux-based OS, and that means the entire car is software controlled, including the motor power delivery, traction control, driver assist system, regenerative braking levels, and battery thermal management. So when Tesla releases an update, your car literally changes how it drives. Some updates increase efficiency, some are UI changes, and some even add entirely new capabilities like, for example, Tesla added things like dog mode, camp mode, Sentry mode, and new autopilot improvements years after customers already bought the car. Now, inside the Model Y is something that Tesla calls the full self-driving computer. So even if you don't buy the full self-driving package, the hardware is still there. And what that means is the car already has the AI processing power installed. You're just using the basic autopilot feature that comes standard. With the basic autopilot, this car can do things like traffic-aware cruise control, which automatically matches the speed of the car in front, and auto steer that helps keep the car centered within its lane on highways. Just keep in mind that you still need to keep your hands on the wheel and stay attentive. Now let's talk about the thing that actually matters in an EV. Battery. This particular configuration, the long-range rear-wheel drive Model Y, can deliver almost 700 kilometers of range. And that's possible because the brand focuses heavily on efficiency. Things like aerodynamic drag, thermal management, inverter design, and drivetrain efficiency, not just battery size. And Tesla constantly tweaks these through software updates, which means that the car is always trying to optimize how it uses energy. And then there's charging. There are currently 4 superchargers in the Philippines, which are located at Uptown Mall in BGC, Mall of Asia in Pasay, Shangri-La Plaza, and Opus Mall in Quezon City. And using their supercharger network, the Model Y can add hundreds of range in a little over 15 minutes with the ideal conditions. The charging system actively manages battery temperature, so it's in the optimal window for fast charging, which again is software doing the hard work. Another thing that makes this car feel more like a gadget is the camera system, and it is everywhere. Teslas rely heavily on cameras for visibility and driver aids. This car uses it for autopilot, collision detection, lane detection, traffic light recognition, and so much more. And the good thing is that Tesla also lets you see all the cameras live. From this massive screen, you can view the sides, rear, and parking cameras. This becomes extremely useful when maneuvering tight spaces or for parking. And if something sketchy happens when you're away from your car, Tesla activates Sentry mode. From the name itself, it turns your car into a rolling CCTV. It records footage and alerts your phone. Again, feels more like a smart home device rather than a car feature. Another thing that makes this car feel more like a gadget is the camera system. Connectivity is another section where Tesla cars act like gadgets. The Model Y supports cellular connectivity, so you can use streaming apps, live navigation, voice commands, and even get over-the-air updates. And yeah, I believe people actually watch movies while charging. And if those don't cure your boredom, there's also Tesla Arcade with built-in games. There's this game called Beach Buggy Racing, and you literally use the steering wheel, throttle, and brakes as your controls, which makes this huge screen feel more like a gaming console than an infotainment system. Now, Tesla's interiors are quite controversial. The Model Y basically removed almost everything traditional cars had. There's no gauge cluster, no start button, no central control buttons, and you just get it. The car knows your phone and it's ready to drive. Everything else is on that 16-inch display. Still is very alien to me since I know a lot of people have rituals to get their car going on the road. It's either the cleanest interior ever or the weirdest, depending on how you feel about screens replacing physical buttons. Now, here is why the long-range rear-wheel drive version is actually the sleeper pick. Most people assume all-wheel drive is always better, but the rear-wheel drive version can actually be more efficient since it has fewer motors, and the single motor setup is already powerful enough for my daily driving. The long-range rear-wheel drive version can go from 0 to 100 km per hour in around 5.6 seconds while delivering very long driving range. You get long range, solid performance, and usually a lower price. And for a lot of people, that's the sweet spot. Now, something that I didn't plan on while getting the Model Y was the timing. Because lately, if you're watching the news or have been to a gas station, you probably noticed something. Fuel prices have been rough, and look, this isn't one of those EVs are perfect and gas cars are bad discussions. Gas cars are still really convenient and for a lot of people, still makes the most sense. But what the recent fuel spikes remind me is just how volatile gas prices can be. With an EV, it's different. Instead of watching fuel prices every week, you're mostly just plugging in at home and starting the day with a full battery. It feels less like refueling a car and more like charging your smartphone overnight. That doesn't mean that EVs are cheaper for everyone. Electricity prices matter too. What I've noticed is that it removes a significant amount of that weekly gas price stress people experience. So in a weird way, the timing of getting an EV like the Model Y right now feels pretty good. Not because it's some revolutionary decision, but because it just quietly changes a small part of daily life. You stop thinking about gas stations. So yeah, the 2026 Tesla Model Y long-range rear-wheel drive is basically an electric SUV. But that's not all that it is. It's more like a piece of tech that happens to drive you to places. And honestly, this might be the most interesting thing about modern cars. So that is it for today's video. Catch you in the next one. Bye guys!